Hi, it's Kirby Sommers, and I welcome you to my true crime podcast. I've been doing a lot of these back to back. They're shorter than the ones I usually do. Um, Today's topic is It's Raining Royals. I just tweeted that I finished working on this week's Epstein Project newsletter. That's my private newsletter. It's where I say things I can't say on Twitter, where I say things, write things that I can't share on YouTube. And, every now and then I come across interesting information that I don't see anyone else talking about. And so I thought I would do this little special since we have been talking about Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew and Prince Harry and all of that. And so I went down the royal rabbit hole, if you will. What I would love for you guys to do is like the video, subscribe. I always forget to either add a card. I might have to do that, but you guys know what to do. I also want to thank all of my new followers. I have a lot of brand new followers who I really appreciate. I've had followers for the 3+ years that I've been on Twitter, which is amazing to me. Many of you are buying my books. You're subscribing to my Patreon, which is very kind of you. And you are becoming members, subscribers of my Epstein Project newsletter, which blows me away. I mean, that started with about 30 people. It's now into the many, many, many. I lost count, but it's growing by the day. I do want to sort of thank Richard Poe. He comments on my Twitter occasionally. He's a well-respected journalist. He's won some awards. And when I started discussing the Meghan Markle connection to Jeffrey Epstein, his ears perked up. So it seems that he's been looking at this aside from what I stumbled upon. So I'm not going to spoil the the Epstein Project newsletter, but I do want to reiterate that mainstream media and many of you finally, I am so happy, many of you have tweeted, have emailed me, have commented on my YouTube channel that there were women who were from well-off families who did not have to sell themselves, who were part of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's world. Bravo to you, because that is not the narrative that mainstream media wants to portray, or even the attorneys involved. And I've done another video on that. And really, no one is what they appear as far as the attorneys, both those who prosecuted Ghislaine Maxwell and those who were on the side of the Epstein victims. I mean, there's a lot of behind the scenes, very convoluted stuff, and it all points in one direction, that there is an ongoing Jeffrey Epstein cover-up. Why? Because the people involved are so very powerful. But there's also what I've always maintained is a much more important aspect, and that is that these trafficking rings, because I don't look at the Jeffrey Epstein case as a standalone, as if he were the only pedophile child rapist, as mainstream would like you to believe. I look at it, as I say time and time again, as a root of a tree that has many roots. They interweave, they're part of the same tree. These are all, from what I can tell, based not only on my research, but based on firsthand experience, that this is connected to intelligence. One day I will sit down and do a podcast and hope it stays up about the various intelligence agency people who sort of contacted me throughout the years. I began to I think, poke around that in my book, my memoir, The Billionaire's Woman. And that information will definitely be shared sooner rather than later. So let me get back to someone who I wanted to discuss and a school I wanted to discuss. So the there's a private very well known to those who are very wealthy school near where Jeffrey Epstein used to live. It's called the Hewitt School. It's on the Upper East Side. I believe it's on 75th Street on the East Side. Epstein used to live on 71st Street. Well, one of the people that I was investigating and writing about, I'm not going to, again, I'm not going to spoil because there are so many royals connected to Epstein that I am surprised, I mean, shocked, stunned, you name it, that no one has written about this. No one has reported about this. And it makes his relationship with Prince Andrew seem like a blip on the screen. That is how connected Epstein was to royals, like way before Ghislaine Maxwell walked into his life on a full-time basis, where they formed a partnership after her father died or was pushed off his yacht to Lady Ghislaine on November 5th, 1991. Her and Epstein became what I believe was a business sort of partnership that was coordinated, in my opinion, by the three-letter agency in the United States and the M agency in Israel, which is when her father, Robert Maxwell, died. That's who he was most loyal to. So there's the school. It's called the Hewitt School. And I decided, let me just poke around and see what's going on at the Hewitt School. Well, I discovered, perhaps I should not have been surprised, but I am surprised that Jeffrey Epstein did indeed donate $15,000 in 2016 to the Hewitt School, years after he pled guilty to the 2008 charge for soliciting a minor. And remember, soliciting a minor, that was sort of that faux deal, if you will, because at that time there were at least 40 girls, minor girls who used to go to a school like this, but for children who were not in the upper classes. So there are at least 40 girls aged 13, 14, 15, so on and so forth, who were ready to testify. But Alexander Acosta, who was then the United States Attorney for Florida, after he wrote up a 56 or a 57-page indictment, he received pressure from his superiors, letting him know that he should back off, that Jeffrey Epstein belonged to intelligence. I want to just pause here and insert when he said this, because most people are unaware. So when Donald Trump tapped him on the shoulder to become, I believe, the 27th Secretary of Labor under his presidency, whenever you are selected to perform a high-level title position for the United States government by a president, it is presented before a committee. And so all of these people have to go through a committee clearance, if you will. At the time that he went through this process, he was, they questioned him, what about Epstein, blah, blah, blah. It went back and forth. And that is really when he said to them, yeah, I was told to back off. And somehow they decided that was a good enough answer. And so that you can find that in congressional records if you look. So like I write books, that information is in my book, Jeffrey Epstein, Predator Spy. You can find that information if you look at congressional records. It's a lot of work. Working on the Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell case, and now as I'm going into the royal family and their role, which goes back generations. Okay, it goes back generations, which I'm sure many of you are aware of, which is why suddenly we have a Meghan Markle, and no one knows quite what to do with her. When I saw her photographed, as I have said, perhaps 100 times by now, when I saw her photographed with CIA asset Gloria Steinem, who was propped with CIA money in order to subvert what was labeled the women's liberation movement. It just gets me so upset when I think about all of the lies that we have been told, and all of the people like Gloria Steinem and now Meghan Markle and many others, as you will see as I start talking about very well-known actresses and the royal family, all these people that we believed were one way, that were portrayed by the media. And by the way, mainstream means the movies, it means the music you listen to, it means the news that you know that we're fed hourly, daily, like every minute of every day. It means everything we digest as citizens of wherever we happen to live. That's mainstream. And so they own everything, and they have this long arm to everything. So it while I read this in the New York Post, it was written, I believe, the piece about the donation to Jeffrey Epstein, that Jeffrey Epstein made, rather, to the very ritzy all-girls school. It was written on July 13, 2019. Now, this school is only for the daughters of the very wealthy people that live in New York City. So it's not unlike the school that he went to. He went to Dalton. That too was an all elite school. And what I think about, and I'm going to get to the point in a second, but I don't want to miss this. A lot of these girls wear their uniforms, and they would walk, I'm sure, in front of Jeffrey Epstein's house, which is sort of like around the corner from a major museum here in New York City. And Epstein had many cameras. I photographed the front of the building. I've walked around the neighborhood. There had to be over, I would say, somewhere between 12 and maybe 20 cameras that he had looking onto the street. And remember, it was an interesting street. He had some interesting neighbors. I'm not going to get detoured at this point, so I'm going to stay on target. So it seems to me sort of realistic to believe that he may have been seeing these girls walking in the neighborhood, just even in front of his house, and perhaps then sent somebody out into the street to grab one or two. It wasn't like he was just relying on girls who came from a poor family. Also attracted to this world were girls who were, they didn't need the money. A case in point comes from history, and that's Grace Kelly. So Grace Kelly, you all know, she was a very famous actress in the 50s. She was born into a well-to-do family. Her family did not need to do anything as far as selling their daughter in order to survive, as we have heard that Epstein's, I think he used to call her his slave, that he, quote, purchased from her parents in another country. I'm just going to call her Nadia for now. That, she didn't, Grace Kelly was a very well-known actress. She was very beautiful, but she went ahead and married a prince. Uh, she went and became the Princess of Monaco after she married Prince Rainier III in April of 1956. Her son, Prince Albert of Monaco, I write a little bit about him in my book and in Ghislaine Maxwell, an unauthorized biography, because one of the models for Victoria's Secret, and I write about her as well, pretty much blew the whistle on a trafficking ring that she believed was only part of the modeling world that she was attached to, that she believed was only implicating the people of France, the higher ups in France. She went on a show, and the television show never aired, but basically she just said that they had turned her into a drug addict, they had turned her into a prostitute, and that she was forced to entertain Prince Albert of Monaco. Now, Prince Albert of Monaco is Grace Kelly's son. Here's the thing. They stopped her from talking. It's in my book. She's been public about it. She's now, I suppose, quiet about it because nobody listened to her at the time. After she made this announcement, the television crew shut down production. They didn't let anyone leave. They made sure that no one had a recording device. They made sure that, the news was just never going to get out. Once she was back in her apartment, her sister showed up and forced her into an insane asylum. And I write about this. I suggest you pick up one or two of my books because I was already booted off, let's say, Amazon, and I had to fight to get back. So what they do to someone like me, who's out here telling you the facts, what goes on behind the scenes, the real story is they try to silence someone like me. So if you can't kill me because they already tried and failed, then, typically it starts the other way. They will try to destroy your character, your reputation. And then, of course, if you write a book, like a lot of the former whistleblowers of the CIA, they try to make it so that book is not available to you. Either they have it removed by putting a lot of bad reviews, or they make it. One book I wanted to buy, it was like $3,400. That is how Amazon can keep certain books from being read by the public. They either make it impossible for you to get, they either, have a lot of fake reviews to make you think it's not worth buying, or they make it so expensive that you can't, I can't afford to spend $3,400 on a book, even though I know the information and it is going to be great. So for as long as it lasts, I suggest you just, stock up on my books, on my information, and because really, I mean, I'm so motivated into getting the story out. I was forced into this world for a period of 8 years. It took a very long time to recover from that. And I think that I am probably what makes me as passionate as I am in giving you this information is that I was silenced for so long. I was silenced for a period of 30 years. in a variety of ways. And so at this point, I feel that I can reach a certain amount of people, that I can talk to you directly. And so somebody like Grace Kelly, she didn't have to be part of this world. She was a socialite. She became an actress. That's also a recurring theme in the world of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. There are a lot of these girls that did become actresses or that came from well-to-do families. They did not have to resort to selling themselves. But what happens is that this is a multi-generational problem, and one specifically that I find over and over and over again that connects to members of the royal family. So I'm going to leave this open to, I'd love to hear your comments on this. Many of you are so wise. You've been giving me some really good feedback on the information I posted and tweeted about and made a couple of videos about on Meghan Markle. I believe that she is like Gloria Steinem, meaning that she is a plant. And if she didn't begin that way, she certainly turned into something like that. There are many wives who were sort of giving Jeffrey Epstein information who are part of the royal family. And I'm going to leave it there. The rest of it is in my Epstein Project newsletter. And again, thank you to those of you who became new members. It goes out on Tuesday. It is Sunday. I hope you're enjoying the day. And we'll do this again. Okay, bye.